Welcome back, everyone, to the Forgotten Tragedies of World War II radio show. Today we are interviewing Joanna Beck, formerly Joanna Vilkas, with an autobiographical view of the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff. Ms. Beck, please tell us your story.
Please, call me Joanna. I left my home, Lithuania, in 1941, 4 years ago at the time. I was traveling with a group of people headed to Gotenhafen, seeking a ship to freedom. Among that group, there was an old man who we called the Shoe Poet. He has said something that has stuck with me to this day.
What was it that he said?
The shoes tell the story.
Can you elaborate on that, please?
When he'd first said that to me, I didn't believe him. I thought it was some kind of sales pitch he'd had when he'd sold shoes. It was quite the opposite. The Shoe Poet described my shoes to me. He said they were costly, but made for an older woman. He inferred that they were my mother's boots. This was correct. He went on to say that my mother loved me dearly, and since she is not here, he presumed I was sad. This, again, was true. His statement was further proven throughout our journey. You see, our shoes represent the hardships we've been through, and the ways we have overcome them. My husband, Florian, had a hollow heel in his boot. It carried something valuable. It was the key to his revenge. But revenge couldn't fill that hollow heel.
Fascinating. What was this revenge he wanted?
The Amber Swan. It was Hitler's most prized treasure. Florian had been a restoration artist for a man named Dr. Lange, a monster. He had partnered with a leader of a Nazi branch and stole artwork. He deceived Florian to be a part of this operation. He had been close with Dr. Lange, but soon found out that Lange didn't care about him. He was a puppet to his scheme. Florian's father had created maps for the attempted assassination of Hitler and was hanged. The Amber Swan was Florian's revenge against Hitler. But it didn't get him anywhere. It couldn't fix the past, and it couldn't fill the void Dr. Lange had left. Revenge is an endless cycle, and the only thing it causes is more suffering.
That's very true. So, Joanna, tell us what it was like when the Wilhelm Gustloff sank.
I hear the screams every night. 3 Russian torpedoes had hit the ship at 9:15 p.m. The ship was under in less than an hour. Of the 10,000 people on board, 9,000 of them died. It was night and the winter of 1945. If people didn't drown, the cold got to them. A German torpedo ship had rescued about 1,000 of us who were drifting in the lifeboats. Lives were brought into this world in that ship, but so many lives were lost on that ship.
It must have been devastating.
It was.
You mentioned that there were lives that were lost and that there were lives that were born. You adopted one of the children who was born on that ship. Did you know her birth mother? And if so, what can you tell us about her?
Amelia. She was a precious soul. Her baby was a result of a raping from a Russian soldier. But she overcame it. She would do anything for her baby. She trudged through the snow and bitter cold with us. She put her daughter's life above her own. Florian had saved her in a cave. Her distinctive pink hat had always stood out in a crowd. She never took it off until her baby was born. She was only 15 years old. Her hat was her innocence. It was her piece of childhood. The war had taken that away from her. When her daughter was born, she didn't wear her pink hat. Florian took the hat and wrapped it around her baby. Her tiny body was cloaked in pink. Amelia's innocence was passed on to her daughter. At first, she did not hold her baby. She didn't want to deal with being a mom. When Florian held her child and spoke to her, she saw her childhood in her, Amelia's family, herself, her home, Poland. She wanted to hold her baby and tell her the stories of her life. And she did.
That's a beautiful story. She must have been a very brave woman.
Definitely.
Do you know the stories that she told?
I couldn't say all the details, but she would whisper to her daughter. She held her close and nuzzled against her. She gave her daughter a nickname, Little Bird. She was her piece of home away from home. Amelia talked about her mother and how they would watch the storks fly away for winter and come back to their nest in the spring. When we were on our way to the port, we stopped at a barn and it had a massive bird nest on the roof. She had stared at it. I believed that for a short while, we were her family, her storks. Now she's in heaven with her mother, watching the storks fly home.
Thank you, Joanna, for not only telling us your story, but the ones of others. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for today. Tune in next time on Forgotten Tragedies of World War II for more. Thanks for listening.